This is Mac OS Ken.
A negative note from a forgotten name. Ready or not, Apple's headset approaches. And welcome to the Apple TV Plus trailer park. It is Monday, the 13th of March, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Collide. Endpoint security powered by people. Learn more and book a demo today at collide.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Another annoying headline to start us off this week, though the story underneath is still worth noting. The question posed in the Barron's headline: Apple stock is slowly racking up sell ratings. What's ailing analysts? On average, the answer is nothing, which we know thanks to the same Barron's report. Of the 40 analysts covering Apple stock tracked by FactSheet, Barron's says 31 rate it at buy or the equivalent. So 31 out of 40 are positive. Of the remaining 9, the site does not say how many are neutral or the equivalent. And finally, the firm on which the Barron's piece is based is not from a big house tracked by FactSheet. Still got a name you know, though. Or new. Joe Galone and Walter Piecyk at Lightshed issued a note Friday wherein they dropped their rating on Apple from hold to sell and set a 12-month price target on the shares of $120. The last notes I can find on Walter Piecyk are from a little over 4 years ago. He was following Apple for BTIG in 2019. Back then, the thing that was stressing him out the most where Apple was concerned was the company's then recent decision to stop disclosing the number of units sold in a given category, specifically iPhone. And guess what has him worried today? Barron says the Piecyk and Galone note pointed to consumers taking more time to replace their iPhones as a reason for their conservative sales outlook. According to their note, Apple's revenue miss last quarter was primarily driven by weaker demand from the lengthening replacement cycle and not supply issues, the popular narrative. Worth considering, though again, grain of salt. Despite the headline's assertion that Apple stock is slowly racking up sell ratings, the piece only names 3 firms that have done so, none of which would be considered big league. The headline is loud. The talk is quiet. Still worth knowing that the talk is out there. Ready or not, a piece from Financial Times says here comes Apple's mixed reality headset. That's whether the headset is ready, not whether you are. After 7 years in development, twice as long as the iPhone, says the piece, Apple's AR-VR combo is expected to be announced as early as this June. Internally, though, word is not everyone thinks that's the best idea. Quoting the piece, Apple's operations team wanted to ship a version 1 product, a ski goggle-like headset that will allow users to watch immersive 3D video, perform interactive workouts, or chat with realistic avatars through a revamped FaceTime. But Apple's famed industrial design team had cautioned patience, wanting to delay until a more lightweight version of AR glasses became technically feasible. Most in the tech industry expect that to take several more years. Let us now add in Apple CEO Tim Cook's enthusiasm for augmented reality. It's big. I mean, for him. And Financial Times argues that the headset will be Apple's first new computing platform to have been developed entirely under his leadership. And so they're going to go, even if some inside would rather wait. Quoting the piece again, in deciding to press ahead with the debut this year, Cook has sided with operations chief Jeff Williams, according to 2 people familiar with Apple's decision-making, and overruled the early objections from Apple's designers to wait for the tech to catch up with their vision. What remains to be seen, will the headset be a misstep or a first step? Sounds like Apple's expecting the latter. Unnamed sources tell Financial Times that Apple's only expecting to sell about 1 million headsets in the first 12 months of availability, far fewer than iPhone or Apple Watch in their first 12 months of availability. That expectation is based on the headset's anticipated $3,000 price tag. While 1 million units in year one sounds small for Apple, the piece points out that it would represent about 10% of the VR market in that year. At least 2 analysts think the mixed reality path makes sense for Apple. The piece has Counterpoint Research Associate Director Hanish Bhatia saying, "We saw the iPhone thrive as the developer community grew and consumers experienced the power of apps. We expect similar hockey stick growth dynamics for the headset category, with each generation being an improvement over the previous." Thinking similarly, the piece has Evercore analyst Amit Daryanani pointing out that Apple often uses a first-generation product to garner the interest of loyal Apple users and serve as a catalyst for its vast developer community. The way Daryanani sees it, the product enables app developers to get some sense on how folks are using the product and enables them to identify the most compelling development opportunities. Talk of a new Apple device from TF International analyst Ming-Chi Kuo. He took to Medium at the end of the week to ruminate on a new HomePod with a screen coming sometime next year. In his Medium post, which was primarily focused on display panel supplier Tianma, the analyst said he predicts that Apple will unveil a redesigned HomePod featuring a 7-inch panel in the first half of 2024. He thinks such a device could enable tighter integration with Apple's other hardware products, marking a significant shift in the company's smart home strategy. It is not the first time we have heard such talk, though it is the first time in a while. A piece from Engadget on the idea cites a Bloomberg report from 2017 that says Apple execs had a hard time figuring out where such a device would fit into its product ecosystem. If Ming-Chi Kuo is correct, they have either figured that out or decided to leave it to the consumer to see where it fits in. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Collide, endpoint security powered by people. Philosophically, I am a big fan of Collide. I truly appreciate the respect they show the user. Collide believes that if your workers know how and why to fix an issue before it becomes a problem, they'll fix it before it's a problem. It's part of their tenets of honest security, a belief that a positive working relationship between the end user and the security team is incredibly valuable and worth fostering, and that end users are capable of making rational and informed decisions about security risks when educated and honestly motivated. That said, not everybody's going to get it right all the time. If you're an Okta user, Collide can get your entire fleet to 100% compliance after telling them what they need to do and why. If, after X amount of time, a user's device isn't up to snuff on security, that user can't log into your cloud apps until they fix the problem. Collide is the only device trust solution that enforces compliance as part of authentication, and it's built to work seamlessly with Okta. Hopefully, though, if you're using Collide, it won't come to anybody getting locked out, because your workforce is already on board with the whole keeping up with security thing. Visit collide.com/macOSKen to learn more and book a demo. That's KOLIDE.com/macOSKen. Collide.com/macOSKen. NCAA March Madness starts tomorrow, and Apple's ecosystem is all over it. It's all over Apple's ecosystem anyway. 9 to 5 Mac says the NCAA March Madness Live app for iPhone has been updated with a few new features. One of the features is CarPlay compatibility. The piece says that addition means users will be able to start audio playback for a game just by using the March Madness app via the CarPlay interface. While a press release on the app changes points out that roughly 98% of new cars are equipped with both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in the US, another change to the app will be even more ubiquitous. That'll be support for live activities. We talked about live activities last week. That's the feature that Apple says helps users stay on top of things that are happening in real time, such as a sports game, workout, rideshare, or food delivery order, right from the lock screen. To start a live activity, the March Madness story says users will need to manually open the March Madness app and tap on a game. I know we're talking about up-to-the-minute live information in the palm of your hand, but having to manually open the app and tap on a game sounds so primitive. Wouldn't you think that that would be something a virtual digital assistant could handle? Anyway, the app is free. It is available now in the App Store. We'll wrap the day with a few trailers from Apple TV Plus, which is how Apple TV Plus wrapped up the week last week. In one press release, the Cupertino streamer promoted The Last Thing He Told Me. Based on the New York Times best-selling novel by Laura Dave, Apple TV Plus says the series follows Hannah, a woman who must forge a relationship with her 16-year-old stepdaughter Bailey in order to find the truth about why her husband has mysteriously disappeared. Jennifer Garner plays Hannah, Angourie Rice plays Bailey, and Nikolai Coster-Waldau plays the missing husband and father. The limited series starts its run with the first 2 episodes on Friday, the 14th of April. The trailer is pretty gripping. You can catch it now on YouTube. Ahead of The Last Thing, Apple issued a press release promoting a kids' show on Friday. Eva the Owlet stars Eva, a creative, cheeky owlet who lives next door to her best friend Lucy in the woodland world of Tree Toppington. With big ideas and an even bigger personality, Eva goes on high-flying adventures, expressing herself in her diary along the way. The show is based on the New York Times best-selling scholastic book series Owl Diaries by Rebecca Elliott. It'll feature music by singer-songwriter Fitz of Fitz and the Tantrums. You can catch the trailer now on YouTube. The show hits Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 31st of March. And finally today, before the trip to Tree Toppington and ahead of The Last Thing He Told Me, the Apple TV Plus country music competition show, My Kind of Country, makes the scene. Promoting the show, Apple's press release says My Kind of Country is a fresh take on a music competition series, breaking down barriers in country music by providing an extraordinary opportunity to diverse artists from around the world. The press release also highlights the show's competitors, who really are from all over. Participants hail from Mexico, India, South Africa, California, North Carolina, and Nashville, Tennessee. Produced by Reese Witherspoon and Casey Musgraves, the show hits Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 24th of March. You can scope the trailer on YouTube. Today on the Mac Observer's Daily Observations podcast, TMO Managing Editor Jeff Butts and I kick around the latest MR helmet talk, plus Mailbag Monday, back on Monday. That is all today on the Daily Observations podcast from the Mac Observer, online at macobserver.com or wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Collide, endpoint security powered by people. Learn more and book a demo today at collide.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. advertising handle by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.